Judy, thank you so much for sitting down with us for Women in Witness.
You're welcome. I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, you have had a long life of really putting your faith into action and witnessing your faith. Tell me a little bit where that faith came from, how it got started.
Well, born and raised Catholic educated my entire life, and believe it or not, graduated college agnostic, and found the Lord, or I should say he found me in a little evangelical Christian church on Two Lanes campus, believe it or not. And so then, long story short, came back to the Catholic Church, and God's done so many incredible things in my life. And so my whole ministry of writing and speaking and sharing my story is birthed out of wanting to tell people what God has done for me.
And that is exactly what we're doing. You're a woman in witness, and you are a mother, a wife. You've had so many experiences. What is that? How has your faith carried through all of that?
Wow. Well, I tell my story in 2 of my books, the ones that are sitting by us, Mary's Way and Miracle Man. But the bottom line is I could have not made it without my faith. We've had a lot of tragedy, a lot of trauma and drama in our lives, including the loss of my husband 10 years ago. And so my faith has literally been everything to me. And when I watch God work miracles and sustain me in the midst of all of this trauma and drama and heartache and heartbreak, which life is full of, then I want to share that hope with other people. And that's what birthed my ministry, was really trying to speak a word of hope to people who are suffering. And you don't have to look far to find suffering. But our faith is the antidote and the key to getting through difficult times. And sharing it with others so we can encourage others.
And as a mother, you've raised children, and they are active in the faith too. What does it mean that you've been able to pass on your faith, not just to those who are reading your books, but to those who are closest to you, your children?
I only had one hope and prayer for my children, and that's that they would know and love Jesus and put God first in their life. Now, for the most part, I can say that that's the truth. Not all of them are there yet. We still have some young ones that are coming up in college, but it's meant everything to me as a mother. I tried to incorporate my faith into everything we did as a family, whether I was thinking about it today, crossing the causeway, praying a rosary across the causeway, not just Mass on Sunday, but praying as a family, praying over my children, sharing my living faith with Jesus Christ and in Jesus Christ with them every single day, and making that part of our daily life and our daily conversation.
And when you're talking with them, when people are coming up to you after they've read your books, what is people's reaction to your story? What do they want to hear more from you about?
Mostly people say, I keep your book next to my bed so that when I'm having a bad day, it makes me feel better about my life.
Oh my goodness.
No, actually several people have said that. What they say is it's amazing that you've been through so much and you came out on the other side. And not only that, you're joyfully telling the tale of what God has done for you. So, you can have a story that's full of hardship, and many people do. But suffering in and of itself really doesn't have any value. Suffering with Jesus Christ and embracing the cross is transformative and redemptive. And that's the message that I hope to give people. And that's what makes it different. And that's what people want to hear more about, is how to embrace the cross in a way that transforms our life and the lives of people around us, and how it saves souls.
Well, that's where I was going. This society, like you say, you don't have to go far for suffering, but you don't just go far for suffering. You don't have to go far for tragedy. You don't have to go far to see people who have just completely turned their back on
Yes.
God and their faith. You in this work and the other work you do, what are some of those things that you tell people when they ask you those questions? What are some things that people can look to on those hard days to find God?
I like to think of suffering as an invitation to grow and to grow up and to grow in God. And so those are some of the things I say, not in those exact words,
Sure.
but we can see suffering as a tragic thing in our lives, or we can see it as an invitation to embrace God more deeply, to learn to love more truly, and to let our, so to speak, false self be stripped away, which is the life I create through my own ego, how I think things should be, what I want my life to be like, And often that's not the way our lives go. And so I can get mad, or I can actually say, okay, God, as Our Lady did. Really, this is one of my key messages, to get in the posture of receptivity and say, let it be done to me according to thy word. That I don't assert myself against God or against the world or against suffering for that matter, but I let it do what it's supposed to do in me, which is be like the fire of God's love that burns away what's in me that's not of God. And it transforms me into a beautiful offering for the world that can come to people who are suffering and say, you're going to make it through this. That can offer a word of encouragement to someone at a funeral, even saying, this isn't all there is. Mm-hmm. We believe in heaven for a reason. There's so many different ways we can share our faith, whether it's just stopping and praying with somebody who's having a crisis. I have a counseling ministry now, and I do pray with people in the office. It's called My Father's House Counseling, that I'm in ministry with my husband. And so part of our ministry is that we are thankfully able, with pastoral counselors, so we're able to pray with people, for people, able to bring the wounds to the Lord so that He can heal them. That's key. Mm-hmm. If our wounds just stop us dead in our tracks, then we're just going to be angry and bitter, and we're not going to be very joyful witnesses of what God does for us. But if we're like Jesus, who comes with glorified wounds and says, touch me, see this, feel this, know that this is real, taste me, right. Taste what I have to offer to you, which is hope that these wounds are not just for naught. They're for good, they're for glory. They're for our glory, and they're for the greater glory of God. So that's the message I try to share with people.
And I think that there are so many people looking for that message, whether they know they're looking for it or not. Mm-hmm. And to have the ability in your counseling profession to sit down and pray with people, and to know that that's an option for people. A lot of people will go to therapy and this, that, and the other, and they don't have that option. I think that is unique, and it's a gift that you're giving. And so I want to thank you for that witness, that you're witnessing your faith in your profession. You're putting your heart and your mind together in service to God. And I want to thank you for not just writing your books, but sharing them sharing your story with the broader Catholic community. I know people might recognize you from some of your other things that you've done. So I want to thank you for truly embracing your story and your suffering and your faith and sharing it as a woman.
I hope it helps other people. I pray it does, and I always say praise God if it does.
Very good. Well, thanks so much, Judy, for sitting down with us today.
You're welcome.